Hey everyone, I am Richard Woloski, aka Too Much Makeup Luke, and if you are watching this panel, that is because you have a special place in your heart for the Star Wars Holiday Special, or you felt a disturbance in the Force. Either way, we want to welcome you. But before we get started, we want to remind everyone that Forcefest is raising money for Make-A-Wish, and your donation will directly fund wishes for critically ill children. So we want to please urge you to go ahead and donate to the link in the chat over there to your left, or you can pitch in by hitting that little blue V up in the upper right hand corner, and that is the Get Vocal. That is the way that you can pitch in through them, and then they will match 33% of all the donations made through the V coins. It will match 33% of that. And that will once again, all go to Make-A-Wish right now. They really need it, so please go ahead and put it in there. And a big hand to Get Vocal for doing all that, and for everyone who's already brought us to over $2,100. So thank you to everyone. Now, once again, welcome to Forcefest Presents A Disturbance in the Force, which is also the name of a new documentary that goes into the making of the Star Wars Holiday Special. I feel this is a documentary that had to be made for fans and to give fans a clear perspective on this important piece of television history. And here with us now are producers Steve Kozak and Jeremy Kuhn. Hey guys.
Hey, Rich. Hey, Rich.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on and letting us know about A Disturbance in the Force. This is the holiday special. This is something that really means so much to me. But before we get into the holiday special, let's get into your showbiz backgrounds. So, Steve, you grew up in a variety showbiz, right?
Yeah. My father used to produce those Bob Hope television shows, and as I've told many people, he'll have to atone for that at some point in his life. Made a lot of money for Bob Hope, but they're not exactly something that she's very proud of, I'm sure. But so yeah, that was my background. That I grew up with that whole background. So where I worked? You mean where I worked? Where since then?
No, please fill us in.
Oh no. So just I came up out of news, and I started working at TV clip shows. Kind of producing, researching for clip shows, real TV, a lot of those world's craziest, guys with too much makeup, whatever, just things like that. And then I worked at Whose Line Is It Anyway? I was a producer there for 3 seasons, doing the green screen game. So video clips is kind of my business. And then I worked at The Tonight Show, Jay Leno. I was a clip producer for a year or 11 years, and then I've been at Jimmy Kimmel for almost 6. So, no, 5.5.
And your father produced all those Bob Hope specials, and I grew up on those. I love them. So producing a documentary like this is right up your alley, because you probably know, you grew up with these people who you need to contact to make A Disturbance in the Force. Is that correct?
It does help. I mean, it does help. I did get the, Steve Binder, the director, was a very close family friend, and he had been the one who was a big fan of it from the beginning. And I, started talking to him about it, and I realized there's a documentary here. So, I mean, I've never produced a documentary. I've always been the clip person, the licensing person, the clearance person. But I was a field producer for many years at Real TV and so forth. So that's why I needed someone like Jeremy on board.
Like Jeremy. All right, let's go over here to Jeremy. Now, you also have an impressive showbiz history. Tell us all about that.
Oh, we try. But I came out of film school, and the first film I produced and edited was Napoleon Dynamite. So that made things much easier after that. Did a couple other features. I segued into documentary. I did a documentary called Raiders about these kids that did a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark in the 80s. And that got me bit by the documentary bug. One of the main advantages is not having to work with actors. I found that totally engaging from a producing standpoint. So, yeah, and so I have a company called September Club. We just make documentaries. So we've had our fingers in a lot of stuff for Netflix, a lot of the streamers. And I met Steve about a year ago, He was calling me about something else, but he mentioned this in passing, and I kept bugging him like, no, I really want to see this film get made and help out, or at least know where I can buy it.
So you guys make a great pairing then. Now, you said that you hopped on this about a year ago. Steve, how far back did you start working on A Disturbance in the Force?
I would say a couple months before I started on the well, almost I'd say about 2.5 years. I've been kind of playing with it for about 6 months. I just tried to work with different partners, different people, and it just never seemed to really hit till Jeremy came on board. Jeremy had the same vision as I did, as far as like not making a ton of fun about the special and not just trashing the whole thing, but to really not only try to find out like why it happened and how it happened, but almost more importantly, like, is there any value to it? Is there, there is some cool things about it. There are some things. And so, yeah, I mean, I had many, many partners, 4 or 5 partners. I had a production company, and then they basically, it was the issue of the tone of it, not as much the money or the percentage or whatever. The tone of it was really what was kept turning me off to everyone. So,
yeah, that was what really attracted me to A Disturbance in the Force. It wasn't one of these YouTube documentaries where everyone is just, they're taking the easy joke and just making fun of it. But when you said that you're looking at it the way with respect, which I think it should. And yeah, of course, there's a lot of goofy things that go on the holiday special, and you can poke fun at it. But I'm so happy to know that you're the first documentary and show to ever really pay respect to the holiday special, because they didn't go into it thinking, let's make something really Mystery Science Theater like. They went into it with great intentions, and there was just too many cooks in the kitchen. Now, the holiday special is just really important to me in my childhood, but why was it important to you, Steve, when you first started coming up with this idea?
It really wasn't. I mean, I was a huge Star Wars fan. I have 6 boys, and one of them's named Lucas. In fact, I didn't name him after Lucas, but after like 4 or 5 kids, I just said, "You boys can name the next kid," and that's exactly what happened. But I had Star Wars birthday parties for the kids. I mean, they're all into Star Wars big time, and it's kind of a cool bonding thing between all the boys, and so. But it was just working with a guy named Steve Binder, who was the director and a family friend. And I had a trade association. I was actually trying to do a live event on like some of the weirdest, dumbest TV shows that had ever been done. So I wanted to do a special event bringing back the cast of the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, and then whatever, and kind of analyze them. And we had a good, steady audience in LA for it, so I was really excited. And then I started realizing that this will just blow it for everyone if I bring all these people. This might be the only time I get to really see them all. So I realized, way too late in the game, that like, this is a documentary. This is, and with all the documentaries I've seen on Star Wars, I just don't know why people don't touch this one.
And I want to thank you for doing this, because unfortunately we're losing some of the cast members, such as Carrie Fisher and Peter Mayhew. Diane Carroll passed away. Art Carney passed away years ago. So thank you so much for this. Charlie Lippincott. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he would have been great to get this. So Jeremy, we all know that documentaries, anything in the film business or entertainment business, takes so much effort and work to put into it. What attracted you to this that makes you say, I want to put a lot of time and effort into this documentary?
Yeah, I mean, for me, any documentary I go into, it's more, I need to have questions and I want to search for answers, and those answers aren't out there. So, like on Raiders, I watched the remake, and I'm like, who are these people that did this, and why did they spend 8 years? The same question, like, why did this exist, and what's the context behind it, the people who made it? Because, I mean, everyone had very good intentions and plenty of money when they made this. It's fun to explore that the time period between 77 and 1980 before Empire, and I feel like this is the kind of the pinnacle of that. Right. And it's really interesting. I think it's the backdrop of variety TV that in of itself is really interesting to see how all this intermixed.
Now, Jeremy, how old were you when you first saw the holiday special?
I was -1 when it came out, but it's I saw it. I have a bootleg DVD that I think I got in like 2003 or four. So I mean, I was aware of it. I don't think I'd ever watched the thing all the way through in one sitting up until I got more interested in this. But I mean, it definitely has its interesting parts.
Oh yeah, Steve, did you watch the holiday special when it was first aired in November 1978?
We should have done this in a pre-interview or something to set up the fact that I am so tired of hearing about how Jeremy is so much younger than me.
Yeah, you didn't go to those you didn't go to those pre-interviews?
Yeah, I saw it actually when it aired, and I remember when it aired. So that's how young, that's how much older I am. So yeah, I saw it when it aired, and one of the interesting things that really put me in a different perspective and almost kind of created the whole concept of the TV variety backdrop against it is that I realized that me and a friend named Jason Lindsay, who's a very very involved big comic collector, said, I remember it when I saw it, and I kind of liked it, and I thought, you know what? I don't remember hating it that much and thinking it was that stupid. I actually remember liking it, or just being, watching it. And I didn't criticize it. I was like 15. I mean, I wasn't,
Yeah.
no expectations back then. And that's a lot of we also discussed that a lot in the film. What was going on in television at the time, why people hated it now, but I don't know how much people really hated it when they saw it.
Yeah, this was a time when Star Wars had just left the theaters back in 1978. A week before this aired, Star Wars had just played its last theatrical venue, and we didn't have Disney Plus, we didn't have DVD, Blu-ray. If you had a VCR, then the machine was as big as a bantha, and not many people had them. So Star Wars on TV was just spectacular. And just a few months beforehand, we had the characters of Star Wars on the Donnie and Marie show, and now this. Any way we can get Star Wars, we were gonna get it. And I recall being ecstatic about seeing this. Wookiee home life, yeah, I'm right there. Another cantina. You have some unused footage from Star Wars. There's so much to love about this. Now, the one thing that everyone really jumps on when critiquing it is just it has a very mishmash feel. Nothing seems very connected. What are your takeaways from that? Why it ended up the way it did with so many different feels that were not Star Wars? Steve?
I think when you do a project like this, it's very easy to kind of like look for the bad guy, look for the one guy, and then do a whole door knock at the end, and then you've solved your thing, and that's the guy. This really wasn't that situation. There were so many cooks in the kitchen, but I really felt like, I think that there wasn't someone that just grabbed hold of it and said, this is my project. Because even Lucas, who might have done that the most in the beginning, still left out the back door at some point. So there wasn't anyone that really was standing behind it. Very few people, and I mean in the huge leadership positions. Ken and Mitzi Welch were very dedicated to it. To their dying day, they really thought they had an amazing project. But I think that one of the issues is that it's almost like people, as it was going on, were kind of looking for like a deniability, like, well, I wasn't really the guy who was in charge. And so you get a lot of that now, that other people are making decisions. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think?
No, I feel the same way. It's just kind of like you film people, TV people, and no one was at the. I think it's more importantly, no one's at the helm, so no one knows what the other side's doing. And it also didn't help that initially it was supposed to be an hour, and it got stretched out to 2 hours, and the script wasn't any longer. So I mean, that in of itself is like unheard of.
Yeah, from all the research I've done, I've seen that CBS wanted this, and Kenner wanted this, and Lucasfilm wanted that, and 20th Century Fox wanted something else, and they should have made at least 4 of these shows so everyone had their direct focus. Now, I want to talk about. Oh, go ahead.
That there were kind of like Jeremy and I have kind of figured out that there was kind of like two factions that were there. There was the kind of the film faction that was started out to be Lucas, the first director, David Akumba, the first two writers, Pat Proft and Lenny Rips, had their kind of more serious adventure type script laid out. And then you had this other faction, which was the variety TV people, which was Ken and Mitzi Welch, who came from the Carol Burnett show, and Bruce Valanche. And those are the kind of people, they're adding all the, to some extent, they're adding kind of the schmaltz to it. But really, in their defense, they're filling up the extra hour that CBS just sold, because now they got to make a bigger show because they ran out of money. So,
right, and Fox and also Lucasfilm, they wanted to keep Star Wars in the public eye because The Empire Strikes Back was still 2 years out, and so if you don't put something in front of kids, they're going to go on to the next thing, which is why you had this big infomercial right in the middle of the holiday special, which promoted all the Star Wars toys. So they really wanted to get something out there that kept Star Wars in kids' faces, which I don't blame them. And Maude had just gone off the air, and CBS wanted to put B. Arthur back on screen. Let's just keep her going there, because they were, from what I read, they were going to go into syndication with that, and they just wanted to keep her in the public eye as well. Now, Go ahead. Okay, now let's talk. Go ahead.
The comment on that. So, I have a very unique, differing opinion maybe about why because it's almost like there's this hackneyed kind of knee-jerk response when you talk to everyone about why the special happened. Carrie Fisher, they all say the same thing that Lucas was saying. I want to keep it in the public eye. I don't want people to forget about it for Empire Strikes Back. But the reality is that it doesn't make any sense. And every time I keep hearing that, it's hard to really listen to that. At the time he's saying this to the people, it is the biggest selling film of all time. It's the most successful film of all time. I mean, yeah, sequels were not, perfected at that point, but I find it really almost like an easy excuse to say, oh, Lucas wanted to keep the film in the public eye for Empire Strikes Back. I think he was matching it up and planning for the next year's Christmas release of all the toys that were coming out. Because if you look at it, all of these TV appearances, when he did the Donnie and Marie show and Richard Pryor and the Bob Hope special and the Star Wars Holiday special, that's the first year and a half after Star Wars is released. After that, you don't really hear much about them. The whole next year and a half till Empire Strikes Back. And I just think that he was much more interested in getting those toys sold, because in the reality is that's where his money was. His money was not going to be as much merchandising. He was going to make as much money on merchandising on Empire as he was on the first movie.
Now, I've heard that opinion that I had made earlier about him wanting to keep it in the public eye because kids really focus on what is here and now. And I work with kids myself, and I know if they don't have that right in front of them, and if something else shiny is over here, they're going to swivel and pivot toward that. With so much resources and money going into The Empire Strikes Back, which is George Lucas funded, he wanted to make sure that no one was going to forget about Star Wars. And you're right, it is the biggest thing ever at this point, but I believe they weren't going to risk having someone else take that attention away. Because at that point, everyone was ripping off Star Wars. You had the Black Hole coming out, Moonraker. Everyone was trying to get on the Star Wars bandwagon.
I forgot about Moonraker, actually.
Yeah, so does everybody else. All right, now let's talk about a Disturbance in the Force. Now, I'm so interested in hearing about some of the people you've tracked down. So can you tell us some of the cast and crew you've gotten for this documentary? Steve?
Well, we have the director, Steve Binder. We have cameraman Larry Hyder, who's got some amazing behind-the-scenes photos, very exclusive. We have
Bruce Valanche,
help me out here. From the actual show.
I feel like Steve's tracked down everyone who's alive that worked on it. he's at least found and talked to.
So,
So some of them, yeah.
Jeremy, who are you most excited about having on this that he found?
Bruce Valanche is always fun. I've always actually been a fan of his. I mean, I saw his documentary at Sundance back in like '99, and I didn't know much about him at all. But like, he's funny. Jason Lindsay was actually one of the interviews we did where I didn't know who he was at all, but like he's the one that kind of framed how I now see the documentary as like exploring this like time period, because he talked about watching it because he watched it when it was live, and he was like, this was the first time I got to see Star Wars characters other than the movie in a theater. And I'm like, oh yeah, it was a very different time, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
And that felt very foreign to me, but I hadn't thought about that till he had said that. And he's one of the first probably 5 interviews we did.
And who was this?
Jason Lindsay.
Yeah.
He's like a action figure comic book collector.
Okay. And Steve
He was the one when I said that he was the one who I had talked to early on in this and said, I saw it when I was a kid and I thought it was pretty good, and it totally changed my perspective of the whole project, because I realized that people who saw it in 1978 didn't hate it as much. The whole variety genre looks weird when you look at it in 2010, 2020,
or 1981. Now
Yeah.
you also the one I'm most excited about that you tracked down is Richard Wagner, who played Ponda Baba, aka Walrus Man. I am so excited about this. I am so excited that you found him.
It was such a fun interview. Wow, he was really fun. I thought he was just going to be like a one note kind of like just take us through, and wow, I mean, he's just a lot of fun. He's just, we spent probably 20 minutes. Well, Jeremy's looked at the tapes. I mean, it's probably pretty ridiculously, and we just started like discussing like I wanted everyone to kind of first acknowledge who they were, who they played every interview, and he started saying something like I played Walrus Man, and we started asking, and he said, well, it said Walrus Man on the costume, and I got it from Costume. So there was some discussion that maybe that's where the whole Walrus Man thing came from. It was just because the costume person just wrote on a masking tape Walrus Man, and that became his character name. And back to the comic book and the TV show and Star Wars, and the guy gets his hand cut off and the whole thing. It's very complicated. The Star Wars community loves that whole. I've talked to 2 or 3 people about it, and they're just they completely confuse me about the comic books, and I've talked to you about it too, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the great things about it, all those creatures we see in the holiday special Cantina are taken from Star Wars and their Cantina scene. However, in the holiday special, they've all been renamed, so everyone's got a whole brand new name. Now, can you share one of the stories from Richard Wagner, from him dancing with B. Arthur during that Good Night So Long song?
There was one. Hold on, I have the window open.
Is he outside?
It's a beautiful.
Have him come on in. Richard?
So one of the things that everyone seemed to say, and who we interviewed, who was in that scene specifically, or a cameraman or whatever, they all said that David Akumba like just went on and on and on, and we could, it would be interesting to see how many times people just use that expression. It went on and on because he just overly covered everything. It seemed as though, like just covered every angle of every shot. And so what Rick kind of explained to us was, I thought it was the most significant of anyone really, was how he was down on, actually Bruce Valanche talked about it too, how he was down on the floor during the Cantina scene. Instead of allowing like an AD or another person to kind of position all the people. So instead of being in like in a truck or up in a glass booth, he's down there with the artists, kind of driving them a little crazy. But he was also basically saying that one of the things that that was particular, he was positioning everyone and telling every table, you're going to be talking about this and you're going to be pointing this way. So like the amount of detail that he was putting into these little table conversations was unbelievable. And he would have to stop, and Rick was they'd stop because this guy was pointing the different direction. He wanted him facing this way. So you could totally see by him specifically why that was reportedly like a 16 to 20 hour shoot.
Yeah, and giving every alien their backstory. It's like, we don't need that. We just need a dance. And you also got Mickey Herman for this special. You got Lenny Rips and Craig Miller. And you said to me in another discussion we had that you're also trying to get Anthony Daniels. How has that been going?
We'll see how that goes. But someone who Jeremy came up with a really great idea that I jumped all over. We had always been trying to get Charles Lippincott, who is really the kind of I would love to do a whole book on him, a whole story just on Charles Lippincott. He's an absolutely amazing, fascinating, revolutionary figure.
And for anyone who doesn't know, let me interrupt for 1 second. He was in charge of publicity and marketing for Star Wars. How Star Wars got out there was because of this guy. He was a pioneer. Yeah, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
And very much so that he put the people in the seats. That was so important. All Lucas needed was to make sure that people could go in there for a week and fill so it could stay in the theaters another week. But science fiction was an unproven genre. There were no stars in this, so it had everything going against it. And he did that so that indeed, when everyone loved the film, they all brought their friends back, and then that whole return thing, and that's what made all the money. But if Lippincott hadn't done what he did, it'd be a very obscure film, I think, in this time. But anyway, after he died, we had really, really tried to. He was just it's very complicated last years of his life, and he was a little ill, and when he died, and Jeremy went to his Facebook page and started contacting a lot of the people that were his friends. And, I never thought of that, and so he found guys like
Mick Garris.
And so talk about Mick Garris. That's a great.
Yeah, Mick Garris. He was the operator for R2-D2 for the holiday special, and is now a horror film writer.
Yeah, podcaster. He's just one of those guys you put the camera on, and like everything he says is like an awesome soundbite. So, and he also he was one of the first employees at Star Wars Corporation, so he would answer the phones at the front desk. Was his first job.
So, Jeremy, can you speak to who else you're trying to get? If it's not a spoiler, can you tell us who else is in the pipeline that you're trying to get for a Disturbance in the Force?
No, we're trying to get all the people we can that are kind of the people who actually worked on it. But some of the people we want to go after, obviously, any of the cast that's alive. That's probably going to be. George Lucas himself would be someone that'd be awesome to talk to. So, we're hitting the point now. We're starting to reach out to like the higher level people, but I think we're gonna have to have the film done in some capacity to show them what we're doing. But like Jon Favreau, I think he's talked all about this. The Mandalorian's awesome. There's tons of holiday special references. Just people like that. So it's kind of like we haven't had those conversations yet, but we're starting to knock on doors, and hopefully we can get some traction with those people.
Yeah. What is the process like in tracking down some of these television actors who this was just a day job for them? How has it been trying to track down them and some of the crew members? Someone who's just a PA one day or a stage manager?
That is totally a Steve question. That's the reason why I was interested when I talked to him. He'd already done a lot of that legwork, because I don't know how you would track down like an 80-year-old person that has no social media presence. Like, it's not.
So kind. Yeah, some of the people I was not successful in I just wanted everyone, and I still have not been able to find people. I haven't been able to find and locate the assistant choreographer for the show, a woman named Sharky Phillips, worked on the Brady Bunch Variety Hour. But like I did track down Rick Wagner. I tracked down my favorite, and maybe it's just me, was this Jack Rader, who played one of the admirals in the Star Wars. He did not have a huge memory. He just was adorable. I just wanted him to adopt me. He was so wonderful. Like in his early 80s, and he lived in Palmdale. Now, if anyone lives in Los Angeles, you know that Palmdale to Pasadena is like an hour and a half maybe even a 2-hour drive in traffic. I mean, and he wanted to come participate in an interview. And I said, we're going to be shooting. I don't know if you really want to do this for this. And he was so happy. He came early. He still had that professionalism that an after actor in those days would have. And he'd been, he's one of those typical TV actors he's the guy who comes into the living room and starts ordering people around. He's kind of the bad guy, I guess, if you will. But he was just so lovely and so professional, and he'd done, dozens of Bonanza, and he'd done everything in the world, Kojak, and, so that was actually, and actually one of the things that Jeremy's always been kind of hitting up to, like we have Bob Newhart is going to be on, we're going to interview Bob Newhart because he has a great background with the Welches, Bob and
Mitzi.
Thank you, Bob and Mitzi Welch. And Donny Osmond, because the Star Wars group had been on the Donny Osmond show, and their success with that, when they were on the Star Wars, when the Star Wars was on the Donny and Marie show, the film receipts went nuts to the theater, to the movie that was still in the theaters, and therefore Donny Osmond is very much the success of that is really what allowed and became the impetus for doing the TV special, was all those specials and the film receipts and all the response they got there. So even though I'm kind of and I knew both of them, so it was a little easy to get them. I mean, I don't say easy, easier to get them because it is, there are other things going on right now. But Jeremy's been the one who's been kind of kicking me I'd rather interview someone who was an extra in the cantina, or so that's where I'm kind of trying to find these more obscure, the little young, and also they're much younger too. Jack Rader doesn't remember anything because he was probably 30 or 40 at the time. These people were 18 that were the dancers and the background people. So their memory is so much better. Rick Wagner was an amazing interview because he just remembered so much stuff. So Jeremy kind of got me on this, let's really I'd rather just get, the extras and all the really bizarre people. The fact that you have to explain who Rick Wagner is or Jack Wagner, who he played, is hysterical. So.
Well, this is mind blowing. I'm really hoping that A Disturbance in the Forest is at least 5 hours long, maybe a Disney Plus miniseries. They're big on that. Now, Jeremy, what's one thing that you've learned about the holiday special while working on A Disturbance in the Forest that just blew your mind?
It's publicly said I hadn't seen it before. When we talked to Lenny Rips, though, he had talked about sat down with Lucas the first time and informed him that Han Solo had previously been married to a Wookiee, but the fans weren't ready to, hear that backstory yet. That's the one that, because I thought he was kidding. He had said it previously in the press, but that's one of the things where I'm just like, that is bizarre. That's the fact that it was actually in his Wookiee Bible at some point, and there's more secrets like that in there as well. But that was probably the one that I found the funniest and the most shocking.
Wow. I want to talk to Lenny Rips at some point. Steve, you told me that this guy's a talker, would love to talk about everything and anything holiday special.
Wonderful guy.
Yeah.
These people all, so many of them were just so happy to talk about it. I mean, I don't really think anyone really did a favor for me, for us. I can't think of anyone, Jeremy, can you? I mean, everyone was just so happy to be involved. Thrilled. They were flattered that people remembered this, this bizarre, Rick Wagner just couldn't even believe I was on the phone, And since then, we've reunited the acrobats from the hologram acrobats, and all those 9 people that are doing the juggling and the tumbling and all that stuff, that the hologram when Lumpy's looking down. So we're interviewing. There's 9 of them. We're interviewing 8 of them. The father died, but so those people are. It's just so cool because they're younger too. So they were younger at the time, so they have so much more memory. They remember so many things. So.
Well, that's great. Now, one thing I want to show everyone is the poster behind you. This is the poster for A Disturbance in the Force. Let me talk to Dromboid there. Dromboid, go ahead and pull up this full poster we have. And let's see, that is picture 2. There we go. That's the promo pic. All right, let's go to this next one. Next one. Next one. All right. You know what? That one. Okay, Drum Boy, go ahead and look for that full poster. Okay, take that one off. And so let's. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? All right. You know what? Go ahead and show us the poster behind you. Since I think was deleted from the list here. So Steve, can you go ahead and bring it closer to us so we can see this poster? Because I love this poster so much.
Oh, I do too. And, this is by a woman named Dani Tenerelli, who lives in Utah, and she's very, very talented. In fact, she's on. I think you can buy this. Well, you can buy an earlier version of this that she did. This one is more specific. She did this for us, but there's another version that she did that's on sale on Etsy, and a lot of other movie stuff. She just has a great. I mean, I just love the top picture. I just the obscurities of the things that she decided to include are so bizarre. And of course, I don't know if you're going to talk about this guy here, but
yeah, that guy. All right, now tell us all about this guy. That
great little addition, so you'd seen it up there?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and point out this guy. This guy was on your poster, and there it is. There's a poster right here. And now let's go to the next picture, Drum Boyd. Oh, there we go. Hey, Drum Boyd, go ahead and go to the next picture. And okay, there he is. This guy was included in the poster. Tell everyone why. This blows my mind.
So obscure. So, oh shoot. Hold on. Let me see if.
Is he there too?
No. I'm looking to see if I have its name. I don't have his name on me. Gosh, I've forgotten his name. So he was a newscaster on WCBS in 1978. And so one of the air copies that survived, I think the big ones that survived one was from Buffalo that picked up this New York feed. And then Chicago's a big one where you see the air copy on. So for some reason, back in those days, well, they still do it. They do promos, but every time they go to a commercial, and he was just had this goofy thing that he kept saying, hey, more about have the frizzies, more at 10. And so he kept giving that goofy thing about having the frizzies.
There he is.
Are you going to play it? Is it video?
No, I only found 3 seconds and the audio was bad. So yeah, pretty much he said that. Join us at 11 o'clock and learn about the frizzies.
Yeah, and he kept changing it every time, like frizzies. Tune in at 11.
Because there was nothing else going on in the world of politics back in 1978 that we had to worry about the frizzies. Now,
this kind of joke along with the special, and the fact that she included him just made me fall in love with Dani Tenerelli. That woman has got such a great attitude about it.
Yeah, so Drum Boy, go back to the big picture, the big poster there. So there he is on the news, and there he is in the poster. That is hysterically funny.
So funny. And
the fact that in the background we have the CBS, the Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be shown tonight. You have that CBS artwork. So everything there just ties in. And to someone like me who loves the holiday special and to me so much, I'm pointing out everything in this picture, and it represents something, a little hidden gem, an Easter egg. But now tell us why Murmia is on top, Diane Carroll, as opposed to like Luke or Mala.
No, that was her. The changes that I had made was that she. The only things I asked her to change was, I think we added a guitarist. There was only one guitarist. I said, "Can you add another guitarist? Can you?" And she had two. For some reason, she had two photos of Diane Carroll, and so there was right where Harvey Korman has got the monitor. Was another one, so I just said, "Can you just replace it with another character?" So she picked a, yeah. Very talented, very funny. Yeah, I keep it in my office. It's very fun and inspirational because it really captures the whole madness of the whole thing. It's so loony. the fact that she even added the and then how cool Boba Fett looks too. I mean, it's so goofy and everything, yet it still looks cool, like that huge boot.
Yeah. Well, it's so great when you see cosplayers at conventions, at celebrations, dressing up as the holiday special characters. Like we have a friend right now who's putting together a Gormanda costume.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. John Boyd, go ahead and scroll up a little bit there so we can see. There we go. With the another Harvey Korman character.
Oh, right. Directed by David Akumba, by the way. That segment.
Gormandas?
Yeah, that's the last thing he did.
Oh yeah. So there were two directors, David Akumba and then Steve Binder. So do we hear a lot about the behind the scenes about why one was replaced and added with? David Akumba was the first one, and then he was the film director, and then Steve Binder jumped in because he had more of a television background. Was it because he was that much quicker to get this produced and finished and in the can?
Well, when Akumba basically quit before he could get fired. I mean, that's the what everyone says here. And from the Smith-Hemian people, the production company, they definitely made that clear that he had exhausted so much money on time because he had all of these extras. I mean, I can't even imagine how many people. They say there was like 100 people involved in that cantina. You don't think about that, but when I grew up seeing Bob Hope and Sammy Davis on the set, there were like 40 people behind the scenes walking around. And so if you have like 30 people on the stage, of course you're going to have more people to wrangle all those people. So, just an endless thing. And he went into not only double time, he broke meal penalties. He just killed for the union people were loving it. Those cameramen were just sitting there for 20 hours going, this is the most money I've made in so long. And then they hit golden time, which is penalties. And that money is just, it's insanity how much money. So there was no money left. So he quit. They were depleting the budget just on the first. He shot the cantina scene. He shot the Jefferson Starship. He shot that the Gormada thing. Is that how you pronounce it? Gormada? Gormada. I love the way you're referring to it by the technical name. Jeremy and I are Harold Corman and Diane Carroll. So and also he also shot. They say he shot 3 things. He actually shot 4 things. He also shot the hologram stuff.
Okay.
The hologram people were shot by him. So, but he just left, and when he left, in fact, I wonder if there's dates somewhere here. They were down for 4 to 5 weeks. Production went down 4 to 5 weeks. It was that long. I didn't realize it was that long. And a lot of people didn't think the show was going to come back. And they got Steve Binder to come in, who was probably the top director in the business at the time. Just quick, likable, talented, and he got everything. I mean, he shot everything. He just, he's very, very defensive of his work. He's very proud of what he did, which blows people's minds. But when you think about it in the day, he was just a director. He didn't have like the eye of the, wasn't an auteur, medium like film. TV director is very much a hack in those days. They're this much more important than the cameraman. I mean, he really does not have that much power. So he says, I took the script and I didn't write it. I just shot the stuff and I thought I shot it well. And you know what? He's right. He did his job. And the big thing about Binder is that he did not oversee the editing. And that is one of the big critiques that people see about it when they first see the film. And I'm sure that when Jeremy saw that too, he was like, anyone in the business is going, what happened to the editor? Like, did he get killed? Is he AWOL? What's going on with the editor? Because it's so slow. It's just this molasses. And the reason why is because Steve Binder, did not oversee the directing, which he'd never done in his career because they didn't have any money left to keep him hired to do that. And then the other thing was they were filling up the show so much, they didn't really have that much room to be able to tighten it up. They didn't have a lot of content. So,
before we go on to the next question, I want to point out Alyssa just dropped some V-Coin into Make-A-Wish. Thank you, Alyssa. Do you know if there's any kind of deleted scenes? Is there more to the holiday special than we've seen? Is there any kind of deleted scene somewhere floating out there?
Not that I'm aware of.
Very sad, very sad.
Okay.
I know the archivist, where I was able to get a copy of the special, very good, clean version. And he has, which we have to shoot at some point, he has a 1-inch tape that says special, Star Wars special, outtakes. And it's all melted. It's all like, yeah. I can't remember if it's a 1-inch or if I think it's a 1-inch. The facility had burned down. I believe it was associated with the Universal fire in 1990. I don't know if you remember the Universal lot.
Yeah.
Burned in, I think it was 90, maybe I can't remember. Right around 1990, and that was one of the. I think it was that fire, but I could be wrong.
Oh no!
I will have a photo of that. So it's pretty.
Wait, how melted is it?
No, it's totally. He just has the case. He just has the plastic. But it looks cool because you can still see that it says outtakes or deleted, whatever, something on it. But.
All right, you know what? You had given us some video right before we went on, so let's go ahead and play this. So what are we about to see here?
Make sure you're queuing up to the right. I didn't give you a cue point. Hold on a sec.
This is Red Fox from a Donnie and Marie show.
Is it? I can't play this, right?
No, only from my side.
I'll play it. You guys ready?
Okay, should we play it from the start, Steve?
Yeah, let's try it from there. I didn't really. Right before they go into the spaceship.
All right.
Just scroll right before this.
Right before this? Okay, right. This is Donnie and Marie.
Just go right before they go up the ramp.
Okay, right. Drum boy, go ahead and play. Scrub ahead. Drum boy, you just had it right about there.
Yeah.
Right.
No. You're right.
I'll scrub ahead a little bit more.
Forward. Do the whole scene. Sorry, we should have. I just thought of this. Yeah. So yeah.
Here comes Chris Christopherson. So this is when they're coming out. So scrub ahead a little bit more, Drum boy.
It's when they go back. Yeah, that's right.
There they go. All right, there they go. Okay, play it from here.
Let me play this real quick. So go back 10 seconds.
Go back 2 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay, so what happened is that when they go in this spaceship, this and we talk about the Donnie and Marie special and the Bob Hope special and all the adventures they had with the Star Wars characters and everything. And Anthony Daniels tells a story that when they went up this ramp, they closed the door and the whole ceiling collapsed on them. And there's very few versions of this clip where you can actually see it, and you can see it. So if you play it, you'll see when they close the door to the ramp, the whole top of the ceiling collapses on them.
All right, so Drum boy, go ahead and play from here.
I think it's just kind of cool because just look at the top of the screen when they close it. And this is a wonderful piece of video. If you ever want to watch this and wonder why you hate the special, because this is really bad. So watch the top of this little thing here. You see they close it?
Uh-huh.
Instead of look at it, I guess they kept it, and there's very few versions where you can see that. So, and it was just a fun, chaotic thing that they described. And they were in the dark, and Anthony Daniels goes, "What do we do now?" Like the two of them were in that pitch dark. The ceiling had collapsed, hit them on the head, he's in, C-3PO's in the costume, and oh my gosh, that's the kind of epicness that went on in TV variety. That they would keep that shot in there too. I love it. They probably went, it's a good shot. No one's going to even notice the top right.
Yeah, this is going to be out in 20 minutes. We're fine. Actors have all survived. Everyone signed a waiver, so we're all good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. So is there a target release for A Disturbance in the Force? A release date?
Yeah, no, we don't have anything yet. I mean, we're working on it. I think we've shot probably about 70% of what we want to get shot. So now we got to start editing. So we're looking at our options. We're talking to people about kind of have a home for distribution. We'd like to have that while we're knowing where it's going to go. But I mean, I think a good target would probably be Christmas next year to have a completed, like, full-fledged, completed film.
Maybe by November of next year to coincide
Exactly.
with the release. Do you think you'll be showing this to Disney Plus?
No, definitely. I mean, you showed it earlier, but Disney Plus, we've always one of our executive producers is Adam Goldberg, who created the Goldbergs.
Oh.
We're hoping it's going to be in at Disney. They've been kind of silent on this, but the fact they're doing a Lego holiday special that got announced 2 weeks ago, the door's at least open enough where there should be a conversation to be had there. I doubt Lucas's position's changed, but at least Disney as a whole, the fact they're doing that means that they're more open to this as opposed to trying to shove it under the rug.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to really say yes to anything that Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni has got since with the incredible success of the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian. When they come to your door and say, we want to make a holiday special, Disney Plus, you better say yes.
Yeah.
So apparently there is a huge demand out there. And plus, they've said time and time before that they, even at last year's Star Wars celebration in Chicago, they want to make another Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to do it. I really, really do. Now, what do you want people to think after they watch A Disturbance in the Force? Let's say next November 17th, to coincide with the 43rd anniversary of the holiday special. They're done watching it. What do you want them to think? Jeremy?
I want them to have a good time and laugh, but also kind of to understand the context of the time. So it's kind of like, basically, we want to make the definitive film that's going to answer any questions someone wants to know about this. So they're not going to have to go online and find it. Like, this will be the one-stop shopping to get that. But I think more importantly, we want to tell a fun story and kind of reminisce about what it was like in 1978 and the first days of Star Wars when it was just in its infancy. Like, I find that as a child, my first film I remember seeing was Return of the Jedi in the third row when I was like 4. So it's kind of like tapping into that to me, where it's like, oh, this time period that's kind of getting further and further away from.
Right. So, Steve, how about you? When someone is done watching A Disturbance in the Force, what do you want them to think?
I just want them to have some laughs. I mean, it's obviously going to be funny, but also there's some real people and real professionals that put their heart and soul in this. I mean, Ken and Mitzi Welch are I've become very fascinated with them, and the song that they wrote, the B. Arthur song, is the first time I saw it, I just thought, so silly. This is so silly. I started watching, and I started thinking, this song kind of grows on me. And then you start thinking about the music at the time. Like, there's some lyrics in that where they say, she says something like, it's towards the end of the song, and she points to she's about to hug one of her people, and she says, "You're such a dear friend." And then she looks a little closer and goes, "Is that a tear, friend?" And so hokey. That's so bad. There's just something screamingly over the top saccharine about it, but there's also something so sincere about it. And B. Arthur delivers that with such freaking sincerity. I can't tell. I mean, it's so amazing how you really do buy that she's the barkeep. That is really her place, and I buy that. And I guess I would like to think that the songwriting was done with such sincerity back in the days when they did Nights Went Out in Georgia and a lot of these dramatic, overly melodramatic songs. This is another one of those songs where they just let it all hang out and just thought, well, let's say no one's going to ever see it again. But I would like people to appreciate the sincerity that a lot of people had about it. While some of them were kind of running out the back door, there were a select amount of people that were really dedicated to the project.
Yeah, when my wife and I had done a Star Wars Holiday Special 40th Anniversary panel at LostCon in 2018, and it was a tribute to the Holiday Special. And one woman in the front raised her hand and said, "Everyone's making fun of this. This is just a big joke, the Holiday Special. Why are you putting so much time into this?" Some lady in the back said, "Look how much fun we're all having talking about the Holiday Special. In these times right now, we just need some fun." And I just stood up and I applauded this woman. I gave her a big hug. That's it. It's just so much fun to talk about. Of course, there's so many things you can pick apart, but why go there? Why go there instead of acknowledging the fun aspects? We have the cartoon, the animated short, which is phenomenal, done by Nelvana. We have the cantina, which is always so much fun to watch. We have all of those deleted shots and scenes from Star Wars in there that bridge certain segments. And you have Star Wars on TV. You have the whole cast together again. There's so much happiness that I get when I talk about the Holiday Special. And I know other fans of this generation too, them too. When they talk about it, when they think about it, they smile. They have fun with it. Now, as we wrap up here, is there anything else you want to tell anyone about A Disturbance in the Force?
I would just say just start following us. I posted our Facebook group that we started. We just started like a week ago to kind of get people that want updates or kind of know where we're at. Other than if anyone has any, I mean, if there are people out there that worked on this or have some kind of insider, feel free to reach out to us because we're always looking for. We want everything that's associated with this.
Yeah, your Facebook group and your Facebook page is phenomenal. Do you have a website yet?
Not yet, but we should probably get on that.
You said you had listed all your social media. Do you have a social media handle we can give out?
It's the Facebook page is the Facebook thing is Star Wars Holiday Special Doc at Star Wars Holiday Special Doc, where they can get that.
Okay.
But that's the least. That's the minimum we've done on the social media front.
Okay. Well, all that you have going, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have you on our podcast, Guy Walking Through Neverland, to give us some updates. Whenever you have something big coming, let us know, and we'll go whatever we can do to promote it.
Can I give one quick shout out? I did want to acknowledge Scott Kirkwood, who created the website StarWarsHolidaySpecial.com in almost 20 years ago, and who really has archived a lot of stuff and been a huge influence. And Jason Lindsay, who is definitely at least motivates me and gets me all passionate about the project. So.
Yeah, Scott Kerwood's in the chat right now. Hey there, Scott.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, thanks so much.
Oh, that's
he's right over there. So, Steve, thank you very much for coming on. Jeremy, thank you very much for coming on and telling everyone about A Disturbance in the Force. And once again, I want to tell everyone to move your cursor up to that blue V in the diamond. Hit that. Throw some money toward Make-A-Wish. We'd really, really appreciate it. Now, is there a tagline for A Disturbance in the Force? Your outro? See you at Acmina's Cantina?
I like that.
There you go. All right, as we say over here, may the Forcefest be with you. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Thank
everyone.
You.
Once again,
thanks, guys.
We celebrate. Jeremy, kick it in. A day of peace. Steve, a day of harmony. There you go. All right, stop broadcast. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.